Hello and welcome to the 26th edition of the Factory Digest, which is a series of lives that we've been doing for some time now from our studio here in our office in Hyderabad. I'm Parvati Mohan and I lead the audiovisual production efforts here at Factory. So, what we essentially do here is at the Factory Digest is talk to members of some of the teams that work here at Factory and get an update from them as to what they've done over the past 2 weeks. So this is a fortnightly special, and they give us updates of the kind of work they're doing, whether it's fact checking or data analysis or whatever. And this is all you'll often find is directly applicable to your life in any way. And if you're joining us for the first time, you're going to see that very soon. Quick note, the memberships are live on our English language YouTube channel. Do consider joining. You'll get access to custom emojis and also priority responses to your comments on our videos. It is a significant way for you to show your support for the kind of work that we do here at Factory. And in the meantime, yes, drop your questions for us in the live chat or anywhere, and on our videos or anywhere, and we will, even if not through the course of this live, we will get back to you with some with a proper response eventually. So definitely keep sending us your questions and your feedback. All right. With that, we'll get into the first set of updates, which is from the fact check team. And joining me now is Sushmita. So I think, we all know this, that there's no break in the kind of fake news about elections. Such a major event happening in India. But before we go there, I want to know if there are any other trends that are worth speaking about, maybe international events or something.
Yeah. Well, like you said, with the announcement of election schedule for the general and assembly elections, there's been a surge of misinformation, like we discussed over the past session.
Right.
Alongside that, we also came across misinformation that's surrounding certain international aspects, such as Taiwan earthquake and Iran-Israel conflict.
Right.
For instance, a video showing earthquake scenes in a railway station at Taiwan are being shared, with a missing context. Like it was an old video, but it is shared as if it is related to the recent calamity.
Right.
On the other hand, another video showing singer Louis Tomlinson's fans gathering in front of the hotel that he was staying in Argentina. It was shared as the visuals of Israelis panicking when the Iran attacked them. So when we came across these posts, when we verified these posts, there were many users reported this incident, saying that it is actually related to the whatever the original incident is. Apart from that, we also geolocated the location, and we cross verified it with on the Google Maps, and we found out that this actually is at the hotel in Argentina that the users were talking about.
Right.
So yeah.
Right. So I think with that we jump right back into the elections. Like you said, it's not just the elections as well. So over the past 2 weeks, what are the kind of posts and claims that your team has debunked?
Yeah, like we discussed before, the misinformation is huge, and to make it easy to understand, we categorized it into 4 sections. So when we talk about the first section, it's about sharing old and unrelated videos. For example, a video of International Religious Fest organized by Hosanna Ministries in Andhra Pradesh. This particular video is shared as the massive gathering in support of Rahul Gandhi ahead of the 2024 elections. So, likewise, an old video of a rally by PM Modi in Kolkata is now shared as the recent one in West Bengal. So, talking about the next category, it's about the fabricated surveys and news reports. So, for example, an edited Way to News article and an ABN headline screenshot was shared saying that Chandrababu Naidu has decided to support Congress candidate in Kadapa,
Right.
and it was shared widely. Later, ABN, clarified that it's a fake screenshot, and apart from that, we also cross-checked the code that is given in the way to news article. When we cross-checked it got redirected to the original article, which actually spoke about EC and elections. So likewise, the other article published by Dainik Bhaskar, it was edited and shared as if the channel predicted and published a report saying that India bloc is going to lead in 10 states.
Right.
But the channel itself came forward and clarified that it's fake by providing the original link of the newspaper article. So the third category is the clipped and edited videos. When we take an example, a promo of Amir Khan show Satyamev Jayate, it was edited with a dubbed voice and shared as he was cautioning people against the Jumlawad or false promises ahead of elections. But we debunked it. Also, Amir Khan came forward and filed a case against this particular incident. So, lastly, it's about the misinformation on polling and candidates. So it was shared that fearing China, Congress had refrained from nominating any candidates in forthcoming elections in Arunachal Pradesh. But in reality, Congress, when we cross-checked, we found that in reality, Congress did nominate candidates for the Arunachal Pradesh assembly as well as parliamentary constituencies.
Right.
So I would like to mention that it is very difficult to demarcate between the fake and real news when we have such invisible categories inside the whole misinformation thing. So it is important for the users to exercise caution as misinformation can impact their voting behavior. So when in doubt, they can always verify with us by texting us on the WhatsApp tip line number.
Right.
Yeah.
So to just double down on what Sushmita said, as we come to the end of the update from the fact check team, our WhatsApp tip line is an important resource for you to access. It's a phone number that you can save on your phone and then send us all these viral claims, whether it's image or video or text or whatever it is. And if there's an existing fact check that debunks that particular claim, then that will be sent to you immediately on the tip line. And if not, our team will investigate and get back to you. Okay, we'll now get into the next set of updates, which is from the newsroom team. And joining us for the first time on the Factory Digest is Suresh. Hi, Suresh. Welcome to the Factory Digest.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so I think getting straight into it, your team did an interesting story about elephants over the past fortnight.
Yes.
And before we get into the data, what the data is and the analysis that you all did, can you take us to the background of why you did this story?
Yeah, there are perhaps three principal reasons why we have taken up this story, Parvati. One is that it is an acknowledged fact that the human-elephant conflict has been on the rise in the recent past. It's a trend that we have seen earlier also, but it is only increasing year after year. That is one of the reasons. The second reason is also that we are also getting to hear more about the unnatural deaths of elephants caused by various reasons, which I will get into. The third reason is also more particularly that in spite of elephants being declared as in the endangered category under the Wildlife Act, the law allows the private custody of elephants even as on date. So therefore, what we thought of looking at was, what is the data saying about the increasing tendency in the human-elephant conflict and the unnatural deaths of elephants. Along with that, we also wanted to look into the number of elephants which are in the private custody, also in the public custody. Yeah.
Right. So, what are the kind of sources you looked into, and what are the data highlights that came out of your analysis?
Yeah. So for data, the data we found from parliamentary question answers. In the recent parliamentary question answers, the Ministry of Environment and Forest Minister Ashwini Kumar, I guess, has given the data in a reply to a parliamentary question which was asked about the elephant deaths and the causes which have led the causes which have led by which the elephants have died.
Right.
So when we looked at that data, what we found is that in the recent past, the issue more has been the habitat fragmentation and the loss, which is suffered by elephants, which is what is causing more and more of the wildlife and the human conflict, or human elephant conflict. One, and when we looked at the unnatural deaths data of elephants and the causes for which they have been dying, we found that in the last 7 years span, about 687 elephants have died due to unnatural causes. 66% of these deaths are attributed to electrocution, and 16% have died because they are hit by the speed running trains. So roughly, if you combine both these things, over 80% of the elephant unnatural deaths are caused by these two primary issues, these two causes. So that's one thing that we found. The rest of the 18% are caused by other events such as poaching as well as the poisoning. Okay, so what we found is that on an average, about 100 elephants every year are dying because of unnatural causes. They're not the natural deaths. Okay, point number one. The other thing that we also found was these deaths of elephants were found in majorly in states or 3 states. That's what the analysis has shown. The other point that we covered in the data story that we published on elephant deaths is also about the elephants which are held in the custody. Okay, as we know, elephants are also highly social beings. They prefer being in their own natural space, which are forests and other dwellings, okay, which are their natural habitats. Okay, but what we've seen from the data is that in India there are about 2,675 elephants which are held in captivity, and 63% of these are staggeringly in the private custody. So private individuals, not the public authorities, are owning the custody of elephants. And what the data does not cover is the period, the amount of time for which these elephants have been in custody. It could be 1 year or 2 years, 5 years, etc., etc. But the very fact that they are being held in the custody itself, whether it is private or public, is a critical issue, because, as I said, the elephants are highly social animals, and keeping them in custody affects them psychologically also. These are not the facts which are being said by us. It is an internationally recognized fact that they are highly social beings, and they also suffer from psychological issues which causes them to behave abnormally. Yeah, so to sum up on the issue, there's a 2010 parliamentary or MOEF report which has actually said the custody of elephants must be banned out, must be banned. Okay, unfortunately, even after that recommendation from an official report itself, it still continues. So to sum up, there are two issues that we found from the story. One is that the elephant deaths or the unnatural deaths have been more or less around about 100 every year. Last year, compared to other years, have shown higher trend. One. Two, the private custody of elephants, although the law permits, as per the report, must be banned. If you look at the root causes for these two things, one certainly can come to a reasonable conclusion that the loss of habitat for these critically or endangered wildlife is certainly playing a significant role. Therefore, maybe the data calls for rigorous measures or critical balance between the habitat share between the humans and the wildlife.
Right. Okay. So, we've been talking about the story related to wildlife, animals, a very natural sort of world. So now to just come back to, this whole mess of human bureaucracy and complications, the newsroom did a critical piece on the status of adoptions in India.
Yes.
And and that's something that a lot of people talk about, that it has a lot of, it's a huge process and all of that. So take us through why you did this story, one, and the main findings.
Yeah, I'll start from what you have said, what you have just said, which is that, yeah, so as of now, adoption in India is a tedious process. Okay, there are broadly, 4 legislations which regulate the process of adoption in India: Hindu Marriage Act, Juvenile Justice Act, and there are also 2 other legislations. Okay, but as mentioned, it is a tedious process, and it is also a time-taking process. So when we thought of picking this story, what we wanted to try and check was what is the data showing about the trends in the number of adoptions, okay, by gender and also by age category. Okay, and also additionally, we wanted to see what are the problems, or what is the data saying about what is causing the delay, or delay in people who are anticipating or applying for adoptions having to wait. So these are the 2 aspects on which we wanted to write the story. So when we looked at the data, what we found was that yeah, in fact, that reminds me, we have a central regulatory authority which is called Central Adoption and Resources Agency, which solely regulates this entire process of adoptions in India. Okay, and the same authority also publishes data every year of number of adoptions which have happened both in country and outside the country. Okay, so what we found from the data is that 80%, 85% of the adoptions which have happened in India so far are in-country adoptions, and 15% of them are outside the country. One. Number two, when we compiled the last 9 years data, we saw that about 13,000 children who have been adopted are male children. When compared to that, the female children who are adopted are over 20,000, about 20,396. So, which is actually a positive trend. I say it is a positive trend because in a male-dominated society like India, which has traditionally been in preference to male children compared to girl children, right? So on an average, what we found is that 3 out of every 5 children who are adopted are female children. So that is one positive note that we found. Yeah, the other thing that we also looked at was, in terms of these adoptions which have happened, what is the age category? Okay, and the data showed that 80% of the adoptions that have happened in the last 9 years, 80% of these adoptions are in the age category of 0 to 2 years. So you can say the preference of people who are adopting is for children in the age category of 0 to 2 years who are infants and toddlers. Okay, and even among those children who are in the age category of 0 to 2 years, if you look at them, 85% of these children are under 1 year. So the preference certainly seems to be for infants.
Right.
Okay. One. And when we look at the other categories, 8% of the adoptions are in 2 to 4 years, and 6% or 5% are in the age group of 4 to 6 years, and rest are in the other age groups from 6 to 18. So that is what we found. Yeah, so broadly to cover up, to sum up, one, the data certainly shows a certainly positive trend that the people are preferring for female or girl children's adoption. One. Number two, we also try to look at the causes, okay, which are driving people to go for adoption. What we found, although the exact cause is not known, what we found is that it's not infertility or other reasons which are driving people to go for child adoptions. It is more because of the genuine concern or altruism, that is driving them to go for adoptions, which is also a positive sign. So, yeah. So, and the preference in age category certainly seems to be towards adopting more infants and toddlers. when compared to the children in the other age groups. So, taking on these 2 points, we also looked at the specific issue that I have mentioned about the delay and the reasons for it. So, there is a parliamentary standing committee report of 2022, which has said, adoption in India is a long time taking process. It's one of the reasons for one of the reasons which is causing this delay is also because there is lack of harmonization between the legislations which regulate adoptions. Like I said, there are 4 legislations, but there are 2 legislations which principally regulate the adoption process in India, which is one is Juvenile Justice Act, and the other is Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act. These are the 2 legislations. The committee said, the Juvenile Justice Act is more transparent and accountable, but the regulations in that act are more complex. Comparatively, the HAMA, Hindu Adoptions and Maintenance Act, offers a simple and quicker adoption process. But there is a lack of harmony between both these legislations, which is why the committee recommended that there must be a harmonization or legislation which harmonizes the entire process of adoption and makes it simpler. That is what we found.
Right. So I'm sure a lot of you are interested in these stories with and they have found a lot of valuable data related to adoptions and elephants and all of that. And everything that is discussed here, all of it comes from, of course, articles on our website, which is factly.in. And we definitely encourage you to go and read these articles at length so that you can sit with the data for some time and sort of really get to know it better. And a lot of this content, even we've done one on the adoption story itself. You can find as bite-sized pieces of content on our here, of course, on our YouTube channel and also on our Instagram, on our social media. We are at Factly India across platforms, so definitely subscribe, follow, share, all of that. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of the Factly Digest. The next one, which is the 27th, should be on the 2nd of May, around the same time. And in the meantime, of course, keep posting your questions, your comments on our work, all of that, either as comments on our content or DM us on social media. And we'll look into it, get back to you however we can. Consider joining memberships and stay in touch until the next edition of the Factly Digest, and of course in the meantime through the work that we put out every single day through all these channels I just mentioned. Thank you for watching and see you again.